Hello students, in the last class I started the second chapter of your syllabus, that is biological classification. In that we read about all the scientists who attempted to classify the organisms starting from Aristotle to Carl was six kingdom classification or three domain classification. By that classifications we clearly understood all the organisms that are existing on this earth planet are categorized into five kingdoms. In that, the first one is kingdom Monera, the second one is kingdom Protista, the third one is kingdom Fungi, the fourth one is kingdom Plantae, and the fifth one is kingdom Animalia. So these are the five kingdoms under which all these organisms are classified. Now today we are going to start, in today's class I am going to start kingdom Monera. This is the first kingdom of the five kingdom classification. Now let us go for the details of this classification. uh, First one is kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera, it includes all the prokaryotes. All the prokaryotes were included under kingdom Monera. That is the reason why Monera is also called as prokaryota, because it includes all the prokaryotes. That's why kingdom Monera is otherwise called as prokaryota. This kingdom Monera, it includes the prokaryotes such as Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, Cyanobacteria, which you will call it as BGA, that means blue green algae, and Mycoplasma, Actinomycetes, and PPLO, means pleuropneumonia like organisms. So these are the bacteria that are included, and that means all these bacteria included under kingdom Monera. And this Monera, it takes 5 days, I'm sorry, 3 days. In this 3 days I am going to explain all these bacteria in a very detailed way. Now you just remember the names. In 3 days classes I am going to explain all these bacteria in a very detailed manner, where this Monerans are the most primitive and earliest forms of life. Now let us go for all the details of this Monera. Now, who discovered this Monera? How this discovery of this prokaryotes started? Let us take that. That is the discovery of Monera. First of all, the discovery was started by the scientist called Anton van Leeuwenhoek. This Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he is actually a Dutch lens maker. This Leeuwenhoek is the first one to see this bacteria in stagnant rainwater. After he observed in stagnant rainwater, he also observed the same a type of organisms in teeth scum. Before you brush your teeth, you can be able to see some scum. It is accumulated in the corners of the teeth. In that teeth scum also, he observed the same kind of organisms, and he called these organisms as animalcules. That means he did not give the name called bacteria. The actually bacteria name was given by Ehrenberg. Of course I am going to explain it just in 2 minutes. And all these discovery he published in a book called The Secrets of Nature Discovered by Leeuwenhoek. In this book he wrote all the details of his discovery. Later there is one more scientist who came forward. His name is Ehrenberg, and of course his associate is also there. His name is Cohen. Ehrenberg and Cohen, they are the first microbiologists to introduce the word bacteria. Now we are calling the bacteria. That bacteria word was given by Ehrenberg and Cohen. But the first discovery of the bacteria was done by Anton van Leeuwenhoek, but he named it as animalcules. Please understand this difference, then you can be able to answer the questions. And after Ehrenberg, there is one more scientist came forward. His name is Berge. Berge, he placed all these bacteria under a group called as a Prosophyta group. And he also wrote a book. Its name is Manual of Determinative Microbiology, which is considered as Bible of bacterial classification. Later, that means after Berge, there is one more scientist. His name is Linnaeus. Linnaeus, he grouped all these bacteria under genus Vermis. And after that, Nageli classified this bacteria under Schizomycetes. The smallest bacteria is nothing but Dialister pneumocentis, and the largest filamentous bacteria is Begiota mirabilis. So these are the smallest and largest bacteria. And the study which deals with bacteria, that means studying about bacteria, is called as bacteriology. Now let us take the discovery extension. That means after that also so many scientists came forward. Who are they? Let us see. After all these scientists, one more scientist came forward. He's a very very popular scientist. His name is Robert Koch. Actually, Robert Koch is a German doctor. This Robert Koch, he followed four experimental steps on the discovery of this bacteria, and all these four experimental steps together called as Koch postulates. In this Koch postulates, he clearly established, he explained the relationship between the microorganisms and diseases. That means he clearly told, because of bacteria, some bacteria, not all bacteria, because bacteria, it includes even photosynthetic bacteria also. Yes, actually bacteria has capacity to participate in photosynthesis also. Slowly I'm going to explain all the stuff. I can't be able to put in one slide now, so I will tell. Bacteria, even saprobacteria are also there, but there are some group of bacteria which is responsible for causing diseases to the cattle and also mankind. That word, this sentence actually was given by Robert Koch. For his work, he also given with Nobel Prize. And he found there are certain diseases caused by bacteria like tuberculosis and cholera in man, and also anthrax in cattle. That means this bacteria is responsible for causing certain diseases like tuberculosis, cholera, anthrax. So that relation was established actually by Robert Koch. And there is one more scientist, his name is Lister. Lister, he is the one who told this surgical apparatus, this surgical apparatus also will be contaminated by bacteria. That's why whenever any doctor operating the patient, that surgical apparatus, knife, forceps, etc., etc., they must be cleaned. Otherwise, this, when the surgery, when it is going on, this bacteria may causes further contamination, further problems in that particular patient or victim. That's why we need to clean up the surgical apparatus. So Lister, he clearly demonstrated that surgical apparatus also will be contaminated by bacteria. For that, he gave antiseptic surgery. He used carbolic acid. So with the carbolic acid, when we clean up this particular surgical apparatus, and they are safe to use to operate that patient. So this is what the Lister explanation is. Now one more scientist also is there. His name is Louis Pasteur. I think so every one of you who is listening this class, everyone must be knowing this Louis Pasteur. He's a very very popular scientist. He is the one considered as father of modern microbiology. Very very important question. And he gave a detailed study, he made a detailed study of the bacteria and proposed germ plasm theory, germ theory of disease, I'm really sorry, germ theory of disease. In that, he clearly established the relationship between the disease and also the bacteria. That means he clearly explained bacteria is responsible for certain diseases that are seen in man and also some cattle. And he told pasteurization theory. Hope you know, in your earlier classes also you must have understood what is pasteurization theory. Bacteria is having ability to contaminate the foodstuffs. So for example, let us take milk. It is having lots of proteins. That's why there is a protein called as casein protein. That is the reason why this bacteria starts contaminating this particular milk. That is the reason why when you are having that milk, you should not have the milk as it is. Then what? Why? It consisting of lots of bacteria, it may causes further diseases to you. That's why when you heat that particular milk, because of the heat, this bacteria will be killed. That process, that means this sterilization process, this killing process of the bacteria, he named it as pasteurization process. Pasteurization process clearly states that you have to eat the hot stuffs. Cold stuffs, they will be susceptible by the bacteria. And he is the one who gave the word called microbiology. We are calling it now by microbiology, but that actual word was given by Louis Pasteur, and he is the first one who used the word aerobic and anaerobic. Hope you know what is the meaning of aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic means which can respire in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic means in the absence of oxygen, if they are respiring, then that is called as anaerobes. Where because of Louis Pasteur discoveries only, it led a proper foundation for microbiology. After Louis Pasteur only, the scientists who worked on microbiology, their number got increased. So Louis Pasteur is a very respectable scientist, very famous and popular scientist. Now this is all with the discovery. Now let us take the classification of this bacteria. Bacterias, that means monerans. When I'm calling bacteria, you please understand all the prokaryotes are nothing but bacteria. So these bacteria were included under monerans. So please don't get confused. Okay, these monerans are divided into three groups. What are they? The first one is eubacteria, which is actually called as a true bacteria, and the next one is archaebacteria, which means ancient bacteria, and the third group is cyanobacteria, which you will call it as BGA, blue green algae. Along with these three groups, three major groups, there are certain minor groups are also there, and these minor groups are mycoplasma, rickettsia, and also actinomycetes. I am going to explain every bacteria in a very detailed manner. It takes three classes. So let us today we will start this eubacteria topic. Okay, this eubacteria, let us take the general characteristics first of all. Eubacteria are the simplest and most primitive unicellular prokaryotes. I need not to again insist. Basically, prokaryotes consisting of only one cell. Basically, prokaryotes are itself they are a single cellular. That's why, especially, I need not to mention they are unicellular. But still, as a point I am telling you, their cell walls, that means their body, it is covered by a distinct cell wall. How the plant cells are covered with the help of cell wall, like that even eubacteria organisms also, they are covered by the cell wall, and that cell wall, it is made up of peptidoglycan. Students, you have to remember this point, because peptidoglycan question is asked many times in your NEET examination. That's why the cell, how the plant cell, it is made up of cellulose, like that the bacteria cell wall, it is made up of peptidoglycan. Okay, membrane bound cell organelles are absent. That means what it mean? A chloroplast, mitochondria, and also this Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, these are all membrane bound cell organelles, and all these cell organelles are absent. That means this prokaryotes don't have any cell organelle except ribosomes. That too 70s type of ribosomes only can be seen in this bacteria. Rest all the cell organelles are absent. They consisting of various types of nutrition. That means some bacteria, they are saprobes. What is the meaning of saprobes? They depends upon dead and decaying organic matter, whereas some they lives as parasites, whereas some they lives as chemoautotrophs, and whereas some they lives as photoautotrophs, whereas some are symbiotic. Symbiotic means give and take relationship. And in the cells, the naked DNA is present. What is the meaning of naked DNA? The DNA which is not covered by any nuclear membrane, then that DNA, it is called as, that type of genetic material, it is called as a nucleoid. Again, I'm telling you just for your understanding, the nuclear material, that means the genetic material, if it is covered by any nuclear membrane, then that is called as eukaryotic what I call nucleus. Whereas in prokaryotes, this genetic material, it is not covered by any nuclear membrane. That's why it is called as a naked DNA, and it is technically called as nucleoid. Hope you understood. Whereas they move with the help of locomotory organelles, and the locomotory organelles of bacteria are flagella. Hope you know what is flagella. Whip-like structure which helps in locomotion. Whereas reproduction, it takes place by asexual method, whereas gamete formation, that means sexual reproduction, is completely absent. But parasexual, please understand, while I'm telling, you may confuse. Sexual reproduction is absent, but parasexual, what is the meaning of parasexual? It looks like sexual reproduction, but it is actually not sexual reproduction. So please understand. Of course, I definitely am going to explain all these process in a very detailed way in today's class itself. Okay. Whereas mitotic spindle fibers formation is completely absent. Whereas some monerans, they have ability to fix the atmospheric nitrogen also to the useful form called as nitrates. So these are some general characteristic features of this eubacteria. Now let us take some more details of the eubacteria. We'll start with shape. The shape of the bacteria, if you take, they usually seen in four important forms. What are they? The first one is spherical. Spherical means they are round, whereas they are, that spherical bacteria, they are called as cocci. Whereas rod shaped, and rod shaped bacteria, you have to call them as bacillus. Whereas vibrio means comma shaped. You will in between the lines you will keep comma, na? That comma, it is nothing but vibrio bacteria. Whereas spiral, even you will sometimes you will buy spiral binding books. Did you notice that in that there is a white color spiral which binds that particular papers, है ना? Like that spiral spring जैसा होता है, and that spring like bacteria, it is called a spiral bacteria. Let us take every detail of this shape very clear way. Okay, let us start the first shape. What is that? Cocci. Cocci means they are spherical, they are the smallest, oval or spherical, and maximum resistant. Out of all the bacteria, the most resistant tolerant bacteria is nothing but coccus bacteria. And aflagellated, what is the meaning of aflagellated? They can be able to move. Flagella is absent. Just 10 maybe 10 or 5 minutes back only I told, bacteria can be able to move with the help of a locomotory organelle, and that locomotory organelle is whip-like flagella. Hope you remember that point. These cocci bacteria, they don't have any flagella. That's why they can't be able to move by themselves. Of course, they will move by wind and water, etc. Okay. These cocci again further divided into 6 groups. What are they? Monococcus, that means single spherical cell will be there. That means pura complete organism, they consisting of single spherical cell. Then that is called as monococcus. And the example is Micrococcus luteus. Whereas diplococcus, in the name itself, again I need not to tell you, two spherical cells are present together, then that is called as a diplococcus bacteria. And the example is diplococcus pneumoniae and also gonococcus. Whereas streptococcus, that means these all spherical structures, all the spherical cells, they are arranged like a chain. If they are arranged like a chain, then that is called as a streptococcus. And example is streptococcus lactis. It is one of the best examples. And a tetracoccus, that means four spherical cells, they are joined in form of a group, then that is called as tetracoccus. Tetra means four, so four cocci, they are present in a group, that's why it is called as a tetracoccus. An example is Neisseria and also tetracoccus bacteria. And staphylococcus means how the grapes are arranged in a kind of bunch, like that all these cocci, they are arranged in form of a bunch like grapes, that's why it is called as staphylococcus. And the example is Staphylococcus aureus. I'm sorry, aureus. I'm really sorry for this. Staphylococcus aureus. Whereas Sarcina. What is Sarcina? They are arranged in form of a cube-like structure, which is having 8 or even more coccus also. And the example for this is Sarcina lutea. Now, so these are the 6 categories of cocci bacteria. Now, I will show and I will explain. See the spherical, see only one cocci is present, only one spherical cell is there, monococcus. Diplococcus means two are there, that's why one, two, that's why diplococcus. Now, staphylococcus, if you want, I'll show it also. See, Staphylococcus. What do you mean Staphylococcus? Arranged in form of a grape-like cluster. See, they're arranged like a grape-like cluster. Did you notice it or not? It's like grape bunch. And Tetracoccus. That means four are present in a group. Sarcina. See, they're arranged like a cube. I will follow this arrow. Then you will understand. See, they're like a cube. Did you notice it or not? They're like a cube. So in this cube, there are 8 or even more cells are also present. See, if they're present like a chain, then that is called as streptococcus. So hope by seeing these diagrams, you will understand these shapes. Okay, monococcus, diplococcus, streptococcus, tetracoccus, staphylococcus, and sarcina. So these are the 6 groups of cocci bacteria. Now let us take one more shape. As I already told, clearly mentioned 4 shapes are there. We completed one shape now. Yes, let us take the second shape, bacillus. Basically, bacillus means rod-like bacteria. See, I clearly mentioned here, these are rod-like and generally flagellated. Please understand, this cocci is aflagellated. They can be able to move by themselves. Of course, they show movement by wind, water, etc. But by themselves they can move. But bacillus bacteria, they can move by themselves. Why? Because they consisting of flagella. Flagella is there, so obviously it show motility. Again, this bacillus, it is divided into following groups. What are they? Monobacillus. Only one single rod shape bacteria is present. Then that is called as mono. Basically, mono means single rod-like bacteria. An example is Bacillus anthracis, and of course lactobacillus also you can take an example, whereas a diplobacillus, which are arranged in pair. See, diplo, that means the two are present, so diplo. And Moraxella bovis is one of the best example. And streptobacillus, which are present in form of a chain, that means many rod shaped bacteria, if they are arranged in form of a chain, then that is called as streptobacillus. An example is also streptobacillus. And also palisade, they're arranged like a stalks, like a group of layers, then that is called as palisade like. Of course, I will definitely show you. An example is corynebacterium diphtheria. Now I will show the shapes and I will explain, then you will clearly understand. Okay, now monobacillus, did you see? Monobacillus, single rod shaped structure is there, so this is called as monobacillus. See, diplobacillus, did you notice two are present? That's why diplobacillus. See, stalk like layers, that means a group of layers like things. See, this is a kind of one layer, this is one layer, and one more layer. Like that, they are present in a group. That's why it is called as palisade. See, streptobacillus, they are present like a chain. See, did you notice it or not? See, I'm showing my arrow. You just follow the arrow, then you can understand. They are looking like a chain. That's why it is called as streptobacillus. Now, till now we completed 2 shapes. Now we are going to the third shape, that is vibrios. Vibrios means they're small, curved, more or less, exactly nahi, more or less they're like C or comma shaped, and they are also flagellated. Then that is called as vibrios. Now I will show you the image, then you will understand. See, they are looking like more or less exactly nahi, but they are looking like C shaped. That means comma shaped. Did you notice it or not? Even they are consisting of flagella. That means they can move by themselves. Now, the fourth and last shape is spiral bacteria. What is spiral bacteria? They looks like a spring. They are coiled, okay, and look like a screw. You can see now there, so the thread you can be able to see it is how it is coiled like that. If you can see, then that is called spiral bacteria, and they are also having flagella. See, if you want you can see. So this is like a spiral. Did you notice it or not? Looking like a spiral. You just follow the arrow mark, then you will understand. See, it is looking like a spiral. Then it is called as a spiral bacteria, or spirulum also you can call, spirulum or spiral bacteria. So this is all about the shapes of bacteria. Now let us take one more topic of eubacteria, that is a nutrition. That means how they are getting the food. They are getting the food, one, by autotrophic bacteria. Autotrophic bacteria means the bacteria which has ability to prepare their own food, then that is called as autotrophic bacteria. And second is also there, some bacteria they can't be able to prepare their own food material, that's why they depends upon others for their food material, and that type of bacteria it is called as heterotrophic bacteria. Now let us go for autotrophic and then we will come to heterotrophic. Okay, now let us take the first one, autotrophic bacteria. Just now I told which can prepare their own food material called as autotrophic bacteria. Again it is classified into two groups. What are they? Phototrophic bacteria, that means they can utilize they can utilize sunlight as a source of energy and can prepare their own food, then that is called as phototrophic bacteria. Whereas by using chemicals and they are preparing their own food material, that is called as chemotrophic bacteria. See, for your understanding, I wrote it in this what I call in the brackets also, light plus carbon dioxide plus water. With these components, they are able to prepare their own food material. Whereas chemotrophic bacteria means chemicals, when they are joined with carbon dioxide and water, they can prepare their own food material. That's why they are chemotrophs, and these are photoautotrophs because the light is a source of energy. Na? That's why photoautotrophs. Basically, photo basically means light. Whereas photoautotrophic bacteria, they need to trap the sunlight, है ना? For that they need certain pigments, and that pigments it is called as bacteriochlorophyll. Students, I'm telling you, you have to remember this point because it's a very important point. It is asked many times, with the help of which pigment bacteria can be able to trap the sunlight and can prepare its own food material, and then answer is bacteriochlorophyll, or sometimes it may be bacterioviridin. So for example, I'll tell you, let us take one green plant. Green plant is also participating in photosynthesis, आपको पता है ना? And in that, to trap the sunlight, chlorophyll, है ना? How chlorophyll it is present in plants, like that in bacteria, bacteriochlorophyll and bacterioviridin is present. Now hope you understood. Whereas this bacteria photosynthesis mein, there is one peculiar and a very unique character. You know what? They don't release oxygen. So this oxygen release, whereas if you take plants they release oxygen during their process, their photosynthesis process, but bacteria do not release this oxygen when they are performing the photosynthesis. It's a very very unique property of this bacteria. Okay, now again this phototrophic bacteria, it is divided into two groups. What are they? Photolithotrophic, and the next one is photoorganotrophic. Very simple. Photolithotrophic means they obtain energy from minerals, light and minerals. Whereas photoorganotrophic means they obtain energy from the light and also organic compounds. Okay, now, photolithotrophic के लिए I brought some examples so that you can understand clearly. The first one, it is called as purple sulfur bacteria. In that, bacteriopurpulin. Hope you remember bacteriochlorophyll. It is also called as bacteriopurpulin. In that, with the help of this bacteriopurpulin pigment, they can be able to trap the sunlight and use inorganic sulfur. I already told you, photolithotrophic means they use a light plus minerals, that means inorganic substances. That's why sulfur is used. Sulfur means it is a mineral, it's an inorganic component na? That's why along with the light it is utilizing sulfur and then it is producing its own food material. So this is one of the example for photolithotrophic. And second example also I brought, that is green sulfur bacteria. I'm really sorry students, I forgot to read out the examples. So the example is chromatium. So chromatium is one of the best example for purple sulfur bacteria. And next one is of course thiospilum, also one of the best example for this. And the next one is green sulfur bacteria. Green sulfur bacteria means in that bacterioviridin it is present as a photosynthetic pigment. That means they trap, see, upper one में with the help of bacteriochlorophyll, that means bacteriopurpulin, it trap the sunlight, whereas green sulfur bacteria में with the help of bacterioviridin it is trapping the sunlight. Hope you understood. Okay, Of course, bacterioviridin is also called as chlorobium chlorophyll, okay, and it uses hydrogen sulfide as its inorganic component. That means light plus hydrogen sulfide. With that they can prepare their own food material, and the best example for this is chlorobium is one of the best example for green sulfur bacteria. Hope you understood examples. If you understand, obviously you will understand the concept, okay. Now, the next one is second type is photo organotrophic. What is that? They utilizes organic substances. Here they utilize inorganic, that means minerals, whereas here they are utilizing the organic sources for preparation of the food material. What are they? I brought two examples. What are they? Purple non-sulfur bacteria, and second one is green non-sulfur bacteria. Same as it is. What are they? Here also they use bacteriopurpulin is the photosynthetic pigment to trap the sunlight, and here bacterioviridin pigment to trap the sunlight. Then what is the difference? They use non-sulfur aliphatic organic compounds as their source. That means light plus non-sulfur aliphatic organic compounds. With the help of these both, they can prepare their own food material. The best example is rhodospirillum. And green non-sulfur bacteria may they use non-sulfur aliphatic organic compounds. They use H2S. What is the meaning of H2S? Hydrogen sulfide. With them they are they are preparing their own food material. Then that is called as a green non-sulfur bacteria. And example is chloronema. So these are the various types of phototrophic bacteria and their respective examples. Now, the next one is chemotrophic bacteria. As I clearly mentioned, they prepare their own food material by using certain chemicals. For that, I brought around 3-4 examples of also. What are they? The first one is methane bacteria. They converts methane to carbon dioxide and then they are getting energy. That means they are using chemicals as their food material to get their food material. That's why it is called as chemotrophic bacteria. In that, the first one is methane bacteria. They are using methane as a source of energy. To get their energy, methane is utilized. That's why methane bacteria. So methane to carbon dioxide. And the best example is Methanomonas, and also Methanococcus bacteria also are there. I did not mention, maybe I forgot to mention it. The next one is iron bacteria. In the name itself, I need not to tell, converts ferrous to ferric acid. So by this chemical, it is getting the energy. That's why it is called as iron bacteria. In the example is ferrobacillus. And hydrogen bacteria oxidize hydrogen with oxygen. And nitrifying bacteria oxygen ammonia to convert this nitrite or nitrate, and then they are getting what you call energy. And sulfur oxidizing bacteria, they oxidizes hydrogen sulfide. So sulfur oxidizing bacteria, so they are getting the energy by what you call chemicals. That's why they are called as chemotrophic bacteria. Hope you understood what is autotrophic bacteria. Now we will go for heterotrophic bacteria. Any single doubt, even single doubt also you can ask me, and many students they are sending their doubts through WhatsApp, and I'm of course answering them also, and I'm very happy for that, because you people are participating, they're getting engaged in the class, and you are asking doubts means you understood the concept, and in that concept mein thoda confusion se. So I'm very happy for that, okay. Let us take heterotrophic bacteria. Again, heterotrophic bacteria is of three types. What are they? Saprophytic, symbiotic, and parasitic. Saprophytic means they depends upon dead and decaying organic matter. That's why they are also called as decomposers or detrivores or transformers. Now, these saprobes are again divided into two types. What are they? Obligate saprophytes, and next one is facultative saprophytes. Obligate means they have to depend only on decomposing organic matter. They can't be able to depend upon any other alternative food material. Then that is called as obligate. Whereas facultative means, They are saprophytes. Please understand, they are saprophytes. But if any dead and decaying organic matter is not available, then they convert themselves into parasitic. That means they can alternate. They can take another option. But there is no any other option. मुझे dead and decaying organic matter only चाहिए. Then only I live. Otherwise मैं मर जाएगा. Then that is called as obligate. नो, मुझे मिलेगा तो अच्छा है, नहीं मिलेगा तो आई विल डिपेंड अपॉन अदर, देन दैट इज कॉल्ड एज फैकल्टेटिव. होप यू अंडरस्टूड ना. वेयर एज ऑब्लिगेट एग्जाम्पल इज बैसिलस वल्गारिस एंड ऑल्सो क्लस्टरिडियम botulinum. So these are the examples. And next facultative saprophytes ka example is pseudomonas and also staphylococcus bacteria. Hope you understood na. Now the next one is symbionts. Symbionts means they mutually depends. That means give and take policy. That means they take something from some other organism, and because they're taking, they also give something to the other organism. For example, two friends are sitting and having lunch. For example, just example के लिए मैं बोल रहे one student he brought a laddu and some other student he brought some kheer. So now both are friends na. Now this boy gave kheer to him and this boy gave laddu to the other boy. Now both exchanged their stuff. That's why they are like mutually benefited. This type of association, it is called as symbiosis. And the best example for the symbiosis is rhizobium bacteria. I think everyone who are listening to this class without knowing this word, I think so no one is there. Rhizobium bacteria, it lives in the nodules of the legume plants. So legume plants, they are converting, that means rhizobium, they are converting atmospheric nitrogen to nitrates and nitrates, and plant, it is giving shelter and food material to rhizobium. See, in this plant it is giving shelter to rhizobium. See, it is giving. Now in return, this rhizobium, it is giving nitrites or nitrates. It is converting nitrogen to nitrates and nitrates and giving to the plant. That means in this both are equally benefited na? And that equal benefit only, it is called as symbiosis. I think you understood now. Of course, if you don't understand, I'm always available to clarify your doubts. Okay. Now the next one, you can just message me and again I will answer you. Okay. For example, if some students, even some students are even calling me and asking, because just by typing message they are not understanding. That's why they are directly calling me. Okay. Sometimes I'm really sorry for this. I'm unable to pick the call because I have another works also na. But don't worry, I will call you back. Otherwise, you do one thing, you first of all send me the message so that I will send this time may you call, then I will answer. Otherwise you will be like problem aayega na. That's why you just message me and then you can call me. Okay. Next one is parasites. Parasites means they depends upon someone and they are causing harm. For example, Salmonella typhimurium is there. Salmonella typhimurium is a bacteria which is depending upon us and causes a typhoid. That means they are depending upon us and on top of it they are harming us. Then they are called as parasites. Hope you remember, hope you understood. Again, parasites are of two types. Like how the saprobes are of two types, like that parasites are also two types. What are they? Obligate parasite and next one is a facultative parasite. Obligate, I think you must have understood because here I clearly explained. They are only parasites. That means they can live if they get host. If they don't get host, they can't live. Then that is called as obligate. The best example is Mycobium leprae. Hope you know na. Mycobium leprae, it causes leprosy. That means white color patches aata hai na. You can see some patients, they consisting of white color patches. From that pus it will be released. Very ugly looking bacteria. It is nothing but Mycobium leprae. That patients na, they suffer a lot from this particular Mycobium leprae. Understanding it. Now the next one is facultative parasites. That means मुझे host मिला, very good. Host नहीं मिला, very good. That means they can go for alternative source. And the example for this, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay. This is heterotrophic bacteria. Hope you understood nutrition. In that, autotrophic nutrition and also heterotrophic nutrition, both you must have understood. Now let us take one more topic, respiration. What is respiration? You know, organisms when they take food, just by taking food they never get energy. This is a very very important concept you need to understand. If you are performing some work, obviously for performing that work you need some energy na. You think that I am eating food so that I am getting energy. No, it is not correct. Just by eating food you never get energy. The food need to be digested, and after digestion, the digested food, it enters into the blood, and thereby by the blood it enters into every cell. And then this food, it need to be break down in the presence of oxygen, then only. And that process of breaking of the digested food in the presence of oxygen is called as respiration. Respiration, it is giving you energy, but not by eating don't give you energy. Eaten food must be digested, and the digested food must be circulated, and circulated food, it should undergo breakdown in the presence of oxygen. And this process of breakdown of the digested food in the presence of oxygen, it is called as a respiration. So respiration, it is giving us energy. Hope you understood. Okay. Again, respiration, if it is taking place in the presence of oxygen, then that is called as aerobic respiration. No, it is taking place in the absence of oxygen, then that is called as anaerobic respiration. Okay. Again, aerobic respiration, it is of two. I think you must have understood. Okay, because here I clearly explained. So now you try to tell without expecting my explanation. Try to solve it. What is the meaning of obligate aerobes? Now I'm stopping for just half a minute. Okay, you try without seeing. Try. Hope you tried na. What is obligate? They strictly need oxygen, then only they can be able to take a respiration. If oxygen is not there, they will die. So the best example is Bacillus subtilis. And of course, azotobacteria is also one of the good example. And facultative. Yes, now try to solve it without seeing a. Yes, the bacteria which respire aerobically. If not, that means oxygen is not, obviously they will go for anaerobes. That is called as facultative. Now, this anaerobic bacteria also obligate and also facultative. That means they are strictly anaerobes, but they are strictly anaerobes only. And example is Clostridium botulinum. Whereas facultative is they're anaerobics only, but they can, if for example, if they can't survive, if oxygen is available, they can become aerobes also. And all the fermenting bacteria, they are the example for this. Hope you understood respiration topic. Okay. Now, today's last topic. Today, I am stopping my lecture with reproduction topic, and tomorrow I am going to explain the structure of the bacterial cell. Very, very important topic. So let us go for today's last topic, that is reproduction of bacteria. In bacteria, two types of reproduction takes place. What are they? Asexual and sexual. A small correction is there. Wait, I am going to tell you, because in bacteria mein true sexual reproduction cannot be seen. That's why sexual reproduction, it is called as parasexual. I'll tell you just in 2 minutes. Okay. Now, let us go for the first process, that is asexual reproduction. Again, asexual reproduction, it takes place in two ways. What are they? Binary fission, and the next one is endospore formation. Let us take one after one. Okay. The first one is binary fission. Very, very simple. This is one parent cell. Now, the plasma membrane, it forms a deep furrow. See, did you see? You can see. Now, follow my arrow mark. Okay. See, this is plasma membrane. See, it is forming a depression like this. Okay. And this depression on both the sides deepens, and finally cuts the bacteria into two separate cells. Then that is called as binary fission. Then what is the meaning of bi into two? See, one bacteria, it is divided into two, na? That's why it is called as binary fission. And this binary fission is one of the very, very existing. That means most of the bacteria, they reproduces by binary fission only. Whereas under favorable conditions, just in 20 minutes, only 20 minutes में one bacteria can complete its binary fission. That means just in 20 minutes में one parent bacteria divides into two daughter bacteria. So simple. Now, the next one is endospore formation. That means asexual reproduction, if it is taking place in favorable condition, then that takes place by this binary fission. No, same asexual reproduction, if it is taking place in unfavorable conditions, then it takes place by endospore formation. Hope you understood, students. where endospore formation, it is also called as reproduction without multiplication, whereas this endospore, see this is an endospore, I brought the image also so that you can clearly understand. Okay, this is endospore. See this endospore, it is tolerant for harsh conditions also, like a high degree of temperatures, and because high temperature also it can resist, because this endospore consisting of certain chemicals called as sialic acid. Okay, and also calcium dipicolonic, I'm sorry, dipicolinic acid. So because of the presence of salic acid and also dipicolinic acid of, sorry, calcium dipicolinic acid, with the help of this they can tolerate high degrees centigrade of temperature also, lot of heat also it can be able to tolerate. Okay, and it consisting of so many layers, just by seeing only you can understand. See this is one layer, and this is second layer, and this is third layer, and this is fourth layer. See how many layers, because see it need to tolerate a lot of harsh conditions na, that's why it need a lot of coats around it, so that's why this many layers are present, and this endospores can be stained by nigrosin reagent. An example for the bacteria who are producing endospores are bacillus and clostridium. So these are the groups of bacteria which can be able to produce endospores. Okay, now, last one, sexual reproduction. But I clearly told true sexual reproduction cannot be seen in bacteria. That's why it is called as parasexual process, which is actually called as genetic recombination. Then definitely you will get one doubt. What is the meaning of true sexual reproduction, and what is you are calling some parasexual? True sexual reproduction means male and female will be there. Male produces sperm, female produces ova, and they will fertilize and the baby will be produced. If gamete formation is not there, then that is called as parasexual process. I think you understood now. Okay, now, again, this sexual reproduction, it takes place by three ways. What are they? Conjugation, transformation, and transduction. So these are the three ways. Okay. Now let us take one after one. The first one is conjugation. Very important one. Conjugation was first of all discovered by Lederberg. 100% you remember this word, this name, because many times asked in your NEET exam, conjugation was discovered by Lederberg and also Tatum, whereas they also got the Nobel Prize for this discovery. Okay, and a detailed study of conjugation was done by Woolman and also Jacob in E. coli, Escherichia coli. Okay, now see this diagram and then you will understand. Okay, now this is one bacteria and this is one another bacteria. Now this bacteria wanted to transfer its genetic material into this bacteria. That's why this bacteria, it is called as a donor bacteria or F plus bacteria, simply called as male bacteria. Please understand, don't get confused, because it is giving na, that's why it is called as male bacteria. But please understand, don't at all get confused. In bacteria में male bacteria, female bacteria ऐसा नहीं होते हैं. Just temporarily it is giving to another one, that's why it is called as male bacteria. Otherwise there is no concept of male and female gender difference is not there in bacteria. Have you ever heard male bacteria, female bacteria? Just it is acting like a male bacteria, that's it. Hope you got my point. So this bacteria, it is having the genetic material. See the plasmid, F plasmid. Now it consisting of a special structure called as pilus, and with the help of pilus, this bacteria, which is called as a donor bacteria, it attaches to this bacteria. Okay, now see it is attached. Did you notice it or not? Now this attachment, it is called as a conjugation tube. What is that? Conjugation tube. And conjugation tube, it is established by F pilus or sex pilus of the donor. So this is donor consisting of sex pilus. With the help of sex pilus, it attaches to this F minus strain, and F minus strain, it is called as a recipient bacteria. Recipient bacteria, it is usually considered as female bacteria. Okay, now this conjugation tube वजह से this genetic material, it is slowly transferring into this. That means this genetic material, it gets replicated. That means one genetic material, it is replicated into two. So this second one, it is going into this. Okay, now after that they get separated. See, they got separated. Now did you notice, now this is F minus na, because this genetic material is transferred after the conjugation, both converted into F plus and F plus. Did you notice it or not? Earlier one, the donor only, it is F plus because it is having the genetic material. Now it is donating this genetic material to this. That's why after conjugation both they converted into F plus. Did you notice it or not? Like that, the exchange of the genetic material from one bacteria to another bacteria, so that the another bacteria also will be converted into donor. That process only, it is called as conjugation. I think you understood. But still, if you don't understand, immediately you ask me, again I will answer you back. Okay, now the next one is transformation. One thing you please understand, all the bacteria cannot be able to show the transformation. There are certain species like staphylococcus species, streptococcus species, and also bacillus species. This species only will show the transformation. And very important question, the transformation process was discovered by Griffith. Okay, what is that? Let us take, this is one bacteria. Okay, now this bacteria is dying, or it is due to some chemicals, or due to any other, whatever the process, it is getting broken down. When it is dying or it is broken down, what it will do now, it breaks its genetic material and it immediately donates this particular genetic material to other bacteria. Because I am dying, so you, at least you take my genetic material and you can use it. Like that, it is donating. Hope you understood. So now this is a bacteria. Now it is dying, or it is getting breakdown due to high temperature or due to low availability of the temperature, whatever the reasons apart, it is dying or it is breaking down. Now what it will do now, it breaks its genetic material and it donates this genetic material to the other bacteria. And this process, see the process where DNA segments are transferred from one bacteria to another bacteria by some liquid, then that is called as a transformation. Hope you understood. See, this is a broken genetic material. Now this broken genetic material, it is passing through the plasma membrane, and after it is crossed into the cell, it is accepted by the genetic material of the another bacteria. See this red color one, aapko pata chala na? So that means this bacterial segment, it is accepted by this one and it is converted like this. This process, it is called as a transformation. Okay, now the last topic of today is transduction. Transduction means when the bacteria, it is receiving the genetic material by virus. That means there are certain virus which can be able to infect even bacteria, and the virus which is infecting bacteria, it is called as bacteriophage. With the help of bacteriophage, you are transferring the genetic material into bacteria, then that is called as transduction. Students, now you remember only the bacteria, it is receiving genetic material by the virus. Because if I go for the details, you should have the idea about virus also. Now the last topic of the biological classification is virus. In that virus topic, I am going to explain transduction very detailed way. At least 15-20 minutes explanation I will give on transduction. Why I am not explaining now, because you don't have any idea about virus. Without knowing virus, if I explain this process, you don't understand. That is the point. Please understand. Please, you just now understand only bacteria, it is receiving genetic material by virus. Itna hi आप याद रख. And detailed process I am going to explain in the last topic of the biological classification, that is in the virus topic. Okay, again in the virus topic I detailedly explain about transduction. With this, today's class I am concluding, and hope you understood today's class. If you don't understand, you just send all your doubts and I will answer. Thank you so much. Okay.